about the housing crisis and, folks, about jobs, frankly. Well, all right, we're back on track. We've got Red Ink Watch happening this week on Fox Business. Is taxpayer money being railroaded into wasteful spending on President Obama's $53 billion high-speed rail plan? Some say the answer to this question is yes, including the governors of Florida, Ohio, New Jersey, Wisconsin, who have all turned down billions in federal funds for high-speed rail projects. But with at least 24 states and Amtrak vying for access to these same funds, is the president's plan really a lot of just pork spending? Joining us now for an exclusive interview, we have House Transportation Committee Chairman and Republican Congressman from Florida, John Mica. Congressman, it is so great to have you here. And you made a fascinating comment during some hearings last week. I want to bring this up to you and get some further commentary from you. You said basically if Amtrak thinks, if anybody thinks that Congress is going to approve money for Amtrak to build the Northeast Corridor, this high-speed rail system, they're going to turn blue while they wait. You still think that's true this week, Congressman?
Well, absolutely, and they asked for $117 billion in 30 years to get high-speed rail into the Northeast Corridor. They waited till a few months ago to designate it as a corridor while Amtrak robbed the money for all these marginal projects that governors have rejected because they made no sense.
Well, let me ask you this. Amtrak has said, and they have proposed to you, partnering with the private sector as far as building it. But again, them taking the funding. Is there any type of compromise you think you could make here with Amtrak?
Well, we've had to kick them in the pants to even look at bringing the private sector in, but they've done it in Europe and Asia. They actually make money. Amtrak right now spends $54.80 for every ticket you buy, and they only sold tickets to 28 million. We found some routes in Europe where they actually have doubled the ridership and eliminated the subsidy, actually paid back the government in England on one route $350 million. Imagine that, operating true passenger rail service and true high-speed service, and actually returning money to the taxpayers. It can be done. Amtrak is now only beginning to crack the door open to look at this.
And you know, Congressman, I mean, their ridership is down since 1977, and that data actually you found that out last week. I have another question for my colleague, Dennis.
Congressman Mica, you know, we just saw a chart with 4 governors that turned down bullet train money. So if I'm governor of Florida and I turn down that money, I haven't really saved the Treasury money, have I? Doesn't it just go right back into DOT and they spend it and they give it to someone else?
Out of the $2.4 billion in Florida that was turned back, $400 million will go back to deficit reduction. The rest of it, Amtrak just reallocated, and, well, the federal government did, to more Amtrak-type projects. But the real secret here is having a true high-speed rail, which I think we could do in the Northeast Corridor, maybe in the Midwest, but you have to select very carefully where you do it, where you have the ridership and the connections, and you bring in the private sector who can get this done. They've done it in other parts of the world. We can do it in the United States. But just pouring money into rat hole projects and then terming like Ohio, which is 39 miles an hour, as high-speed rail, or the Wisconsin-Chicago at 70-some miles an hour. Those aren't high-speed. That's a bait-and-switch operation.
Congressman, a public-private partnership, you brought up the issue. How much agreement do you have on the committee that something like this could work so that, as what you're saying would happen, 10 years versus 30 years under Amtrak's plan, for instance?
Well, I'll let you know next week, because we're going to roll out for the first time true proposal for a public-private partnership to take away control of Amtrak right now, since 1971, has had control of all passenger service. They've never really put a high-speed system together. Acela goes 83 miles an hour between New York and Washington, 65 miles from New York to Boston. We think that rather than putting $117 billion, as they propose, take 30 years, we can bring the private sector and do very little public money Imagine going from New York to Washington in an hour and 35 minutes.
I would love
It is
that.
possible. Yeah.
We would
And you
all
can
love
make
that
money
here
at it, too.
Yeah, well,
You can
I tell
make
you
money
what,
at it. So
I tell you what.
we'll find out next week.
We'd love to have you back on, Congressman, to give us an update on how things are progressing. It really is a fascinating topic, and again, it's taxpayer money that could be saved, and heck, maybe jobs could be created. You never know, Congressman. That's the hope, right?
Absolutely. Well, thank you. Next week we'll roll out our proposal, and we'll see how much support we get for it.
Republican Congressman John Mica of Florida. Congressman, thank you very much for standing by. It's great to talk to you today.